Welcome to the Agile Speaker, where we're learning about the science behind the art of speaking. I'm Marianne Johnston, and if you listened to the previous episodes, you'll know that we're looking at a specific area around the skills of presenting and speaking, which is managing the stress or anxiety you might feel in the run-up to a presentational meeting. You might have been asked to speak at a conference or take part in a panel discussion. Perhaps you've recently been promoted and now you need to get buy-in from the board to get budget for a project. Or maybe you've got a big contract ahead of you with a client which you need to pitch for. These are all situations where the pressure may be on. The butterflies start swirling around in your stomach and you feel your heart rate increase. Perhaps you're starting to lose sleep over it. If this sounds familiar, then you've come to the right place. I'm chatting with Antonia Siegel from Healthy Habits. She's a mindset and behavioral change coach, specializing in wellness and menopause. And one of the areas she specializes in is stress management. Antonia, it's great to be chatting with you again.
And you, Marianne, thank you for having me.
So we're discussing techniques for managing stress. And in the last episode, we talked about how to change your mindset to feel more optimistic, more positive ahead of a presentational meeting where you're feeling pressure. Today, we're going to discuss breathing. Over to you.
Yeah, and this is a tool that I think is massively underrated. But we talked in the previous podcasts about the power of understanding. I don't know about you, but I like to know why I'm doing something before I'll commit to it. And I used to think it was all a bit fluffy, breath work. I didn't really get it. But actually, now I know the science behind why breath work helps us, then it's easier to kind of put that into action. So I want to give your audience a tool that they can use if they feel themselves kind of spiraling into the stress response, and this will just help them get them back. So there's kind of two parts to this one, okay? So I'm going to explain what diaphragmatic breathing is, or in simple terms, you can call it belly breathing, okay? So the diaphragm's a large muscle and it sits below the lungs and it helps the lungs expand and contract. And diaphragmatic breathing is a deep breathing exercise that fully engages the diaphragm and increases efficiency in the lungs. Because when we're really, really stressed, you might notice you shallow breathe. Okay. So basically, diaphragmatic breathing will help reduce your stress levels, scientifically proven to help reduce stress levels and also reduce the stress hormone cortisol.
Okay.
So it's really, really powerful. So I'm going to teach you a technique after, but firstly, I'm going to talk you through how to breathe properly. Okay. So if you put your hand in the middle, on the middle of your upper chest, if we're all sitting at a desk, as I assume we are. So if you're sitting at your desk, just put your hand in the middle of your upper chest. Okay.
Okay.
Then going to put your other hand on the stomach beneath your rib cage.
Okay.
And what you're going to do, you're going to inhale slowly through your nose, drawing breath down towards your stomach. So essentially your stomach should push upward and your chest should remain still. Okay.
Okay. So I'm hoping that all of our listeners are going to try this as we're doing it. So if you're out for a run listening to this podcast, pull over and stop. If you're sitting in your car at a traffic jam, or if you're sitting in your office or wherever you are, just take a few moments to really actually experience these techniques and see how they feel. So one hand is on my upper chest, one is on my belly underneath my rib cage.
Yeah. So when you inhale slowly through your nose, you're going to draw breath down towards your stomach, and your stomach should actually go out the way. Okay. It should expand. Yeah.
Okay.
And when you exhale, you're going to tighten those abdominal muscles and you're going to let your stomach fall downward and exhale through pursed lips. That's it. And your chest should remain still. So you're literally taking the deepest of breaths, inhaling and then exhaling, like tightening the ab muscles and pushing the breath out through pursed lips. Yeah, you're doing exactly that. I could see Marianne, and she's doing it correctly.
So the first time I
Okay.
noticed that I dropped my shoulders actually and leant forward, but now I can really feel that. And I have tried this, but without your coaching, and I'm realizing I've done it wrong in the past.
Okay.
I didn't realize about activating your abs,
Yeah, to push
your
the
core. I didn't realize about that, and that does feel really different. Okay, I'm going to do one more.
yeah. Okay, so inhale slowly through the nose, drawing breath down towards the stomach, keeping your chest still. And then exhale by tightening your abdominal muscles, letting the stomach fall downward and exhaling through pursed lips. Okay, so now you've got the technique. Now we're going to go one step further.
How is there a number of counts that you should be breathing in for?
Well, I'm going to kind of teach you a technique which involves diaphragmatic breathing, but will give you the second count. So I'm going to talk you through something called box breathing, okay?
Okay.
So we're going to use the diaphragmatic technique, and we're going to use it for something called box breathing. And this blows my mind, right? This is used by the US Navy SEALs during combat to keep their stress levels at bay. So if it's good enough for them, it's literally good enough for anyone,
Yeah,
right?
I'm going to think about them every time I'm doing it. That's going to make
Exactly.
me feel more calm.
And an example of a client, this is a really powerful example. A client of mine was having a panic attack in Tesco's. She put her shopping basket down and stood and did box breathing for 5 minutes, got herself back into control, back into rest and digest, and managed to kind of regain control of her body and mind in that moment. So it
Wow.
really, really works. I can't stress that enough.
Mm-hmm.
But ideally, and we're not going to do it on this podcast, ideally, you want to be doing it for at least 2 to 5 minutes. Okay. So box breathing is essentially as it sounds. You're going to breathe in for 4 seconds. You're using the technique we just went through. We're going to hold for 4 seconds. We're then going to breathe out for 4 seconds. You're then going to hold for 4 seconds. So if you're in a room and you're looking at your laptop or there's a picture in the room, you can follow the picture around like a square.
Got it.
Okay. So if I don't know how long you want to do this for, but let's just start. So if you're all sitting here and you're wanting to join in, let's go for it. So remember to inhale really slowly through the nose, and then you're exhaling. You're holding at the top, and then you're exhaling again. Okay. So you're using the belly breathing technique. So are you ready? Okay.
I've
So
already started. Sorry,
so I'm going to count.
I'd already started.
If you're
I'm all
ready
over
to
it.
do the inhale now, and I'm going to count. So
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to go again. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. 2, 3, 4. And hold. 2, 3, 4. Get the picture?
Yeah, it's not as easy as you would think.
It's not. And you know what happens is you're focusing so much on the breath work and the counting that you haven't even thought about what you're worried about.
You're
You're,
absolutely right.
you're
Okay.
so in the moment present and in the moment. And again, if you were feeling your stress levels get out of control, honestly, this box breathing, I do it before every workshop. I sit, I take my time, and I box breathe probably for 5 minutes.
Amazing.
And I've even done it during a workshop in the breakout sessions. If I'm feeling a little bit on the edge, I will practice it because nobody knows you're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, so the other thing I thought was interesting is you counted a lot slower than
Yeah.
I would have counted if I was doing it on my own.
Yes. Really slow down.
Yeah. So that's very interesting because I realized that it has to be slower counting. Does the What it makes me realize is that I don't think currently that I can hold my breath for very long. But is that something that the more you do it, do
Yeah.
you find that it gets easier to do?
100%, because I was somebody that couldn't hold my breath for 2 seconds. I got all panicked and didn't like that feeling at all. But actually, the
Yeah.
more breath work I do, the better I get. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But it's like a muscle. You've got to practice it.
Yeah.
You've got
Okay.
to kind of work it, practice doing it, practice the technique, so you know that it works. So it's for everyone out there. Be even if you're experiencing stress before you've got your meeting, before you've got just in a real life everyday example, just
Yeah.
try it, see if it works for you. But it's very, very powerful for somebody who's nervous about speaking or going into a meeting. Very powerful to have that in your back pocket. It's free. You
Yeah.
now know what to do.
Everybody can do this. And I wanted to just touch on here that when I started reading up about this before we had chatted, my daughter, who's 11, was doing a 3-minute lecture at school. And
Oh,
she'd got into the finals to stand on stage and actually do it to the whole school.
wow.
And
Oh my God. Quite
and
terrible
yeah,
for
and
11.
and I talked to her about this, and we did some breathing exercises, and I said, try this out, because when you're actually waiting, sometimes it's also sitting there waiting while someone
Yeah.
else is doing it before you. And then
That's
your butterflies are going bananas and it's like, I feel sick and all this sort of
yeah.
thing. And I just said to her, when you're sitting waiting, just do the breathing exercises. And the one that I got her to do, which was just one I'd read about, was breathe in for 4, hold for 7, breathe out for 8.
8. Yeah, the 478 is really
Yeah.
good as well.
So I got her to do that. And afterwards, when we were catching up about it afterwards, she said, I just did the breathing, mummy. I just did all the breathing while I was sitting, waiting to go up. And it really
Oh,
helped her to focus and stay in the zone. And,
that's
and
really good.
I just wanted to mention that because I think anybody that has kids,
Yeah.
and if they are going through, before a match that they're playing in, or a
Mhm.
run that they're doing, or taking part in a school production, or whatever it is, these are amazing tools that we can give them when they're young that they
Oh,
can take through their lives.
so good. My daughter suffers a little bit from anxiety, and I give her the books breathing to do, or the breathing exercise. And wow, I wish I'd known all this when I was little. I used to get so nervous before a tennis match, or
Yeah.
and running race, whatever. And actually having these, and that it's so powerful for them to know. These are the types of things that we should be teaching at school.
That was brilliant doing the exercise. And
Mm.
I'd love to know, if anybody has taken part in that breathing exercise, please drop us a line or comment in the review on the podcast. I'd love to know if it's helped you feel different, if it's helped to alter how you're feeling having done that
Mhm.
exercise. And I think that, you know, everything we've talked about in this season 5 of the Agile Speaker, we talked earlier about how stress shows up for a lot of people, and it was that shaky voice, sweaty palms, heart rate going up, saliva glands drying up,
Yeah.
which is connected to that sympathetic nervous system, isn't it? And hopefully, what we've been talking about over these episodes, if you can practice these techniques and
Hmm.
think about the preparation beforehand, then you start to deactivate, if that's the right word, the
That's absolutely
sympathetic
the right
nervous
word.
system and
Yeah.
activate the parasympathetic nervous system.
Remember
So that
paradise. Yeah.
paradise. So you end up in paradise when you're
Yeah.
presenting, helping with all of those physical experiences. And then hopefully it means that you sleep better at night in advance of whatever it is that you're going into because you've taken control of what you control. And the breathing techniques just help you to bring you back to rest and digest.
Exactly that.
Awesome. Okay. This has been fascinating, Antonia. I've really loved chatting with you. I talk about presenting and speaking as being a science more than an art. I talk about that day to day with clients, and
Yeah,
everything that you've talked about around how to manage stress just complements that so brilliantly.
yeah. The two go hand in hand, don't they?
Totally. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much for giving up your time and joining me in this. I think that you've shared just some fantastically simple, practical takeaways for listeners to think about doing. And hopefully this will make a huge impact on them.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me on. Thanks, everyone, if you've listened. And yeah, I hope you found it useful.
Brilliant. Okay, so thank you for listening to season 5 of The Agile Speaker. If you want to learn more about Antonia and her work, head to www.healthyhabitslife.co.uk. And if you want to learn more about controlling the controllable, becoming a more relaxed presenter, do head back to season 1, which focuses on preparing and delivering your presentations. Finally, if you're enjoying this podcast, please, please, please do rate and review it on the channel you subscribe to. Every review helps bump us up the league table and help more people.